As more companies integrate artificial intelligence into their business models, a new analysis is diving deep into just how much the technology could impact the workforce. Researchers from the Boston Consulting Group estimate that AI will reshape between 50 and 55% of U.S. jobs over the next 3 years. And they note that while AI integration will change the nature of work, it doesn't necessarily mean job losses in every case. Let's bring in CBS News MoneyWatch reporter Megan Cerullo for more on this. I've been reading about some of these businesses that are being transformed by AI, and the employees, that's like a prerequisite. You have to know how to use AI in order to get the job. How can people prepare for this?
So the report's authors note that it's not all doom and gloom, and they want to counter the narrative that AI is going to replace workers, which is why they come up with the reshaping framework, which is true. It's going to change the nature of a lot of work. And that might mean that even if a job doesn't disappear, the worker in that role might not be set up to be successful. So companies have to be really deliberate about retraining and upskilling workers in those jobs that do remain. But it doesn't mean that they should be indiscriminately conducting mass layoffs just because they're afraid that AI can do a lot of things that humans once did.
Are you finding that through your research and sources that this sounds more like an employer problem in having to do that training, or an employee problem that, look, if you want job security, it's best to start learning this skill now?
It's both. A common refrain is that AI isn't going to replace workers. It's going to replace workers who don't know how to work with AI. So it's essential that workers be well versed in these skills. And there's been some conversation about younger employees losing jobs, but they're actually AI native. So in some cases, they could be attractive to employers if they're really comfortable using these tools. But by the same token, firms may have to pivot and think twice about the kinds of services they're offering and selling, because AI may be rendering them obsolete.
Forget knowing how to use the Microsoft suite, right? Goodbye,
Exactly.
Excel. All right, so what are some of the AI-proof jobs or fields?
There's a concept called demand expandability, which is when a service becomes cheaper to produce or more accessible, demand for it actually grows. So think software engineers. If they're twice as productive, there's a lot of software that people would like to have in their lives, but isn't being built right now because it's expensive. With AI, though, they can build it cheaper and more quickly. So that's a role that in some cases workers are going to be replaced, but there's also going to be more demand for experienced workers. Call center workers, that's a rote task, they're going to be replaced. Doctors, a doctor, you need a medical degree. AI can't practice
So when you and I
medicine.
call for a customer service person, we're going to be talking to a machine.
Unfortunately, that's what the future is looking like.
But therapy, I was surprised to read in your article. Therapists will still have humans.
Jobs like yours that require a physical presence and human interaction, those are relatively safe.
Megan Cerullo, thank you.